What's going on, people? Let me get down to the business of the business. I was going to talk about something completely different, you know, but unfortunately, we're still here as a society, as a country. There was a mass shooting like 8 hours ago, no, 5 hours ago. What does it say? A mass shooting in Philadelphia. Suspect left behind a will, have been acting agitated, said the DA. Boy. A 40-year-old. Hold on, let me see if you could hear this. I don't know if you could hear this. Let's see if they allow me to. Hopefully, no commercials. You know. Okay, here we go. So the investigation. Let's go. The big story in Action News tonight is new developments in the investigation into that mass shooting in Kingsessing. Today, the 40-year-old suspect, Kim Brady Carricker, was charged with the murder of 5 people. Carricker also faces a slew of charges related to 5 survivors of the rampage. New details have also emerged about the suspect's mental state and his arsenal of weapons. This as family members of the victims continue to grieve their sudden and senseless loss. Action News reporter Maggie Kent is live tonight with more. Maggie.
Well, Rick, we heard from investigators who took Carricker into custody, allegedly responsible for killing those 5 people in Kinsessing on Monday. He was heavily armed, also wearing a bulletproof vest, and when they started to search his home, they found more weapons, ammunition, and a will dated June 23rd, less than 2 weeks before the shooting. Kim Brady Carricker was in court this morning, charged with 5 counts of murder, 10 counts of attempted murder, weapons, and assault charges. Investigators say he showed signs to family of growing agitation before carrying out this mass shooting in Kinsessing.
That was the norm for him, wearing this vest and having guns in the house. But they all described that he was becoming more and more agitated over the last couple of days.
Tyreek Glasgow is a mentor and founder of Young Chances Foundation. Today he mourns the loss of 2 people, the youngest and eldest victims.
It hurts. Not gonna sugarcoat it.
His cousin, 59-year-old Ralph Morales, was excited to walk his daughter down the aisle in her wedding next week.
He was the one that, regardless of any family function, had that smile.
Glasgow was a mentor to 15-year-old DeJuan Brown, killed protecting his 13-year-old brother from gunfire. The younger boy was hit twice in the legs, but will survive.
When he seen his family, his brother in distress was shot, he went back to help. And that's what we as a community to understand, that when we see our other brothers, our community members down, the risk to going back to save them. If we all had that approach, I think our community would be in a better position than it is.
Sisters of 31-year-old Joseph Wama Jr., who was killed inside his home during the shooting rampage, describe him as a loving man and a skilled sketch artist.
I'm going to miss that beautiful smile. I really am. He had the best hugs. And he took care of his family.
Salt and Light Church in Kinsessing will be hosting an...
Well, anyway, not to get too deep into that because I'm not trying to play a whole bunch of news stories. It was something that happened basically not too long ago. It was a mass shooting. There was actually a mass shooting today. Mass shootings over the weekend. It's really a mess when it comes to this country and our society and the mental health issues and I guess the way we glorify violence, the way we deal with things. You know, like they were saying, like the brother was saying in the story, you know, of the 11 people that were killed out in Philadelphia. You know, it's something where you see people in the community going through something. If we had more of an approach where we actually cared about each other and it wasn't, hey, you over there are going through those issues and we wait to go to, you know, a point where there's a point of no return or it gets out of control, gets out of hand. A lot of times, you know, we see things and we don't address it because it's not our problems. It's happening over there in that city. It's happening over there in that country. It's happening over there in a place where maybe, you know, it isn't something that we need to get into. And I think that's the wrong approach. That's the wrong way to look at it. And then how basically we glorify violence or we don't take responsibility when it comes to, our gun legislation or how we are as a people, understanding how to deal with each other, understanding that people go through things and not resorting to violence. But sometimes, unfortunately, the violence gets glorified, things get pushed up. It's a situation where this is too common because I was looking at something online, and it's crazy that this thing even exists. Um, yeah, there's a gun violence archive, mass shootings, and I have it right here, mass shootings in 2003, and you can go look at it yourself if you want to. It's the www.gunviolencearchive.org, and it was updated 17 hours ago. There was an incident in Michigan today. There was something that happened in Maryland today as well. There was something that happened in Illinois. There was a mass shooting there. In New Jersey, there was a mass shooting. In Massachusetts, there's a mass shooting. District of Columbia, there's a mass shooting on July 5th. California, there's another mass shooting. Maryland, there's another mass shooting. Michigan, again, on the 4th. North Carolina, it's another mass shooting. Same day, 4th of July, Louisiana, another mass shooting. Then there's another one in Ohio. And then it goes on and on, on the 3rd, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Texas, Indiana, Missouri, Texas, Maryland, Kansas, New York, Oklahoma, California, Illinois, Texas. These are in the last 5 days or so. So it's a situation where I believe that it needs to be more of a community effort. It needs to be more of people who actually knowing their neighbors, actually caring about the people that's around you, not looking at the differences and just pushing it to the side as if somebody's acting strange or going through something and so quick to resort to violence. I think, unfortunately, we deal with each other in a way in society where it's really hands off, or it's really like, you over there, you stay over there. That has nothing to do with us. But unfortunately, this is something that affects the loved ones that we have, in our families, the people that we have in our communities, the folks that in our old folks' homes, the people that are in our parks and our schools. This is something that's not going to go away anytime soon. And I'm just speaking on this right now just to encourage people that when it comes to gun violence, when it comes to mass shootings, when it comes to how we deal with things in this country, be more mindful of how it affects the overall community. Be mindful of how you look and how you see people, because people are struggling and going through things. We also look at the people who die and how tragic it is. Sometimes we forget about what the person that's actually the shooter is going through. Sometimes, like they said, this quote, quote, evil people or misguided people or whatever the case may be. But it's a situation where I think we all needed to collaborate, regardless of what side of the aisle you are, as what your politics are, what your religious views are, how you feel about people in general. I believe it's a situation where we need to get back to the table. I remember I was watching the clip from the coach Steve Kerr where he said he's tired of all the moments of silence. He's tired of all the prayers. He's tired of all the well wishing and sorry for your loss. Sometimes you get tired of that stuff because it's to the point where this stuff is happening every other day. It's happening every other week. It's happening at a rapid clip to where people are dying and life is cheap. It's like as if people don't value and care about life the way that they used to or the way that they should. Maybe I'm making sense to you, maybe I'm not. Maybe this is coming off as a rant, and maybe, whatever. But I know at the end of the day, if we keep going about it the way that we are, more people are going to die, more senseless killings are going to happen. And, communities are not taking, stock, be it stuff with the Black community, be it stuff with, folks in the Caucasian community, Asian, Hispanic. This is a problem that doesn't just exist in a vacuum. This is not something that's going away, whether you understand me, whether you believe me, whether you care what I'm saying. This is something that affects me, you, them, us, whoever, however you identify. This is something where it's not going away. It's a really, really, really serious problem. And it's not going to be one or two laws that change it. It's not going to be something that you just pray away. It's not going to be something that you lock up and legislate and incarcerate away. It's going to be a multi-pronged thing where the community has to get involved. It is what it is. What's going on, Yas Poet? Just talking on some things, speaking on some things that was on my heart as it pertains to gun violence, as mass shootings. These are things that don't just affect the poor and low income neighborhoods. This is not something that just happens in a vacuum to those folks over there because they're, people of color, or these people are folks that are, dealing with, mass poverty. These are things that affect us all, regardless of what side of the aisle you stand on, regardless of what your religion is, regardless if you believe nothing at all. And I encourage you to look at it differently. Don't just look at the mass shooting in a rural city or urban city somewhere and think just because it's happening over there that it won't affect you. And there's too many cases. If we go back 5 years, 10 years, the Columbines, the Sandy Hooks, the Florida, the Post shootings out there in Orlando, there's just different things. The San Bernardino, thing in California. There's too many instances where it's happened to people in all walks of life. And I say it's a disservice if you see the mass shootings and you get used to it and you normalize it. It's not something that should be normal, unfortunately, but it is something that has become a normal part of society. When we hear the mass shootings, if it's not sensationalized, people kind of turn it off or tune it out and don't deal with it and don't speak on it and don't say anything to it. It is something that is it is like a epidemic or pandemic, almost like COVID when it comes to mass shootings, because it happens too much. And you think about how many people have been killed to senseless gun violence that didn't have to die. You know, yeah, it's wild. How many moments of silence are we gonna keep having? How many, sorry for your losses will there be?